Throughout history, prison escapes have captured the imagination of people around the world. From meticulously planned operations to last-minute acts of desperation, each escape attempt carries its own story of courage, risk, and ingenuity. But some prison breaks stand out not just because of their success, but because of the extraordinary methods used to pull them off. Among the most daring are those involving high heels, underground tunnels, and even helicopters, methods so bold and creative that they seem more like scenes from a Hollywood thriller than real life. Using high heels in a prison escape sounds almost unbelievable, yet there have been instances where prisoners, or their outside helpers, disguise themselves cleverly, using the most unexpected props to slip through security. A simple pair of heels, when combined with a smart disguise and quick thinking, became a key to freedom in situations where traditional escape methods were impossible. Tunnels, on the other hand, have long been a classic choice for prisoners seeking a way out. But digging a tunnel beneath a heavily guarded facility requires months, sometimes years, of patience, secrecy, and careful planning. It's a slow and dangerous process, where a single mistake could lead to disaster. Yet some prisoners have managed to dig elaborate underground passageways right under the noses of their captors and walk away into the night without leaving a trace. And then there's the most cinematic method of all, the helicopter escape. In several jaw-dropping cases, helicopters have swooped down into prison yards, picked up inmates, and flown away before guards even knew what was happening. These operations often involve armed accomplices, precise timing, and nerves of steel. It's a method that leaves authorities stunned and the public in awe at the sheer boldness of the attempt. Each of these escape methods highlights not just a desire for freedom, but a remarkable ability to think outside the box under extreme pressure. They show us that when the human spirit refuses to be caged, it can find a way out, even if that means putting on a pair of high heels, digging through solid earth, or flying out under the cover of spinning helicopter blades. In the following sections, we'll dive deeper into real-life stories where creativity and courage turned the impossible into reality. Escape with high heels, a surprising story of how high-heeled shoes were used cleverly. During a prison break, when people think of prison escapes, they usually imagine brute strength, violent fights, or digging tunnels through concrete. But sometimes the most effective tool for freedom isn't a weapon or a shovel. It's a clever disguise. One of the most surprising examples of this involved nothing more than a pair of high-heeled shoes. In a case that shocked prison officials and the public alike, a daring inmate used high heels as part of a brilliant escape plan. The story began with a woman visiting the prison, dressed elegantly and carrying a change of clothes. In a carefully timed move, the visitor and the prisoner swapped outfits, including the high-heeled shoes. Dressed now as a stylish woman, complete with makeup, wig, and heels, the prisoner walked confidently through several layers of security without raising suspicion. Guards, conditioned to look for aggressive behavior or suspicious packages, never thought to question the graceful figure leaving the building. The high heels played a crucial role. They changed the prisoner's posture and movement, making him appear more feminine and helping him blend into the crowd. Without this physical detail, the guards might have noticed something was off, but with the heels forcing him to walk differently, the disguise was complete. It wasn't brute force that set him free. It was the power of perception. This story highlights the importance of thinking creatively under pressure. Rather than trying to overpower the guards or smash through barriers, the prisoner used psychology, observation, and planning. He understood how people see the world and used that knowledge against them. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest tools, even something as delicate as a pair of high heels, can be turned into powerful weapons when used cleverly. Unfortunately for the escapee, freedom didn't last forever. After an intense manhunt, he was captured weeks later. But the story of his escape remains legendary, often cited as one of the cleverest prison breaks in history. It forced prisons around the world to rethink their security protocols and to understand that danger doesn't always come from brute strength. Sometimes it walks out the front door wearing high heels. Digging tunnels for freedom. Famous cases where prisoners dug secret tunnels to escape. Under the prison walls, Digging tunnels has long been one of the most daring and patient methods prisoners have used to escape confinement. While it might sound simple, tunneling to freedom is a dangerous and complicated process that demands months, even years, of planning, teamwork, and incredible secrecy. Throughout history, there have been several famous cases where determined inmates used nothing but their hands, crude tools, and sheer willpower to carve a path to freedom beneath towering prison walls. One of the most iconic examples comes from the 1944 Great Escape during World War II. In Stalag Luft III, a German prisoner of war camp, Allied soldiers secretly dug 3 tunnels, nicknamed Tom, Dick, and Harry, deep under the camp. Using homemade tools like spoons, bedboards, and cans, they worked night after night, hiding the dirt in their clothes and shaking it out in the prison yard to avoid detection. Though not all escaped successfully, this operation remains legendary for its scale, bravery, and creativity. In a more modern example, Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman pulled off one of the most astonishing tunnel escapes in 2015. From his prison cell, he vanished through a small hole in the shower area, which led to a 1.5-kilometer tunnel, complete with lighting, ventilation, and even a motorcycle to speed him along the narrow underground passage. The sophistication of the tunnel shocked the world and highlighted the lengths some individuals are willing to go for freedom. Digging tunnels requires extreme patience and careful coordination. Prisoners must find ways to dispose of huge amounts of soil without drawing attention, maintain the tunnel's structural integrity to avoid collapses, and keep the project secret from guards and fellow inmates. A single slip, a strange pile of dirt, an unusual noise, or a loose brick can expose the entire plan. Tunnels represent more than just physical escape. They symbolize hope, resilience, and the refusal to accept captivity. Every handful of dirt removed is an act of quiet rebellion against the walls meant to hold them in. These stories continue to fascinate the world, reminding us that even in the most hopeless situations, human beings can find extraordinary ways to fight for their freedom. Helicopter prison breaks. Thrilling incidents where helicopters were used to lift prisoners out of high-security facility. When it comes to daring prison escapes, few methods are as dramatic, or as risky, as using a helicopter. Swift, loud, and nearly unstoppable from the ground, helicopters have been used in some of the boldest prison breaks ever recorded. These escapes often play out like scenes from an action movie, complete with high-speed chases, daring rescues, and stunned prison guards left powerless to respond. One of the most famous helicopter escapes occurred in 1986, when French criminal Michel Vaujour made a daring break from a Paris prison. His wife, Nadine, trained herself to fly a helicopter just for the mission. On the day of the escape, she hijacked a helicopter, flew it into the prison courtyard, and picked up her husband under a hail of gunfire. Though they were eventually caught, the incredible story left a lasting mark on prison security policies across Europe. Another shocking incident happened in 2001 in Greece. Vasilis Palaiokostas, known as the Greek Robin Hood, escaped from a high-security prison not once, but twice using helicopters. In both cases, accomplices hijacked helicopters and forced the pilots to fly over the prison. The daring rescues involved lowering a rope to the prison yard, where Palaiokostas and his fellow escapees grabbed on and were lifted to freedom. His double helicopter escape embarrassed authorities and turned him into a folk hero in Greece. Helicopter prison breaks are difficult to prevent because they exploit a prison's greatest vulnerability: the open sky. Traditional walls, barbed wire, and guard towers offer no protection against an aircraft swooping in within minutes. After several high-profile escapes, many prisons added overhead nets, wires, or anti-aircraft measures around exercise yards to stop helicopters from getting close. These thrilling incidents highlight the creativity and boldness required to attempt such a risky escape. They involve careful planning, coordination with outside helpers, and nerves of steel. Unlike silent, hidden tunnel escapes, helicopter breaks are loud, fast, and highly visible, but if executed correctly, they can succeed before authorities even have time to react. helicopter escapes continue to inspire movies, books, and public fascination. They remind us that in the battle between walls and human ingenuity, sometimes the sky itself becomes the ultimate path to freedom.